All right, everybody, welcome into yourfilterschoice.com. My name is Adam. I'm joined here by Pete Cole himself. We're at YFC-V12 at YFC-P Cole, and we're going to be bringing you some MLB live to lot content. Pete, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing good. A lot going on. Course slate tonight, right? So, big slate for Monday night. Everything's going well. Got a good weekend, I guess. A lot of sports going on, right? We have all kinds of sports. NFL preseason, MLB, NASCAR. So everything's going well. We're going to win some money tonight, though. Got to make up had a tough day yesterday in MLB.
Yeah, man, we're going to make it all back tonight. And if you are joining us and this is your first time in, welcome. Of course, hit that thumbs up for the like. Of course, hit that bell for notifications. We would greatly appreciate that. That way, whenever we do have any kind of content that's going to be being dropped, you have the first access and first knowledge to that content. I do want to mention we do have a special going on at YFC right now. For your first 2 months, it is $25 per month. We're calling that our football special. You want to take advantage of that with college football right around the corner. Of course, NFL, if you were with us this last season, both of those sports absolutely crushed, and we're excited about all the guys on staff that are going to be jumping in and helping us out with that. So, Pete, we're going to jump right in, man. We're going to talk a little MLB. We got the scroll going down so they can see what the special is and some of our partnerships that we have. I do want to go ahead and start off. We are going to go ahead and talk about weather because it's quick. Weather tonight is not much of a concern. The Cincinnati Reds Chicago Cubs game is the only one that's actually blipping on the radar of something to be concerned with. Other than that, with, like you said, a course slate, obviously we're going to be looking at some good hitting environments. We got pitching from all ends of the spectrum. So you're going to cover some Vegas odds for us and talk to us about some of the teams we should be targeting tonight.
Yeah, so Vegas, man, Coors versus the Padres. Coors is up to, we have a over now 13.2. Padres open up at 6.5. They're up to 7 now. Rockies 5.6, or now they're over 6.2. So both, I mean, great hit environment tonight in Coors. It's warm there. Both going against pitchers that they should be able to hit. So obviously that's gonna be the chalk. That's gonna be the popular plays in Coors. But there's a bunch of other high runs. I mean, the Dodgers now up to 6. They just popped up to 6 on their implied live against the Pirates. The Reds playing the Great America Small Park 5.6. Astros 5.6. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go tonight. Yankees 5-4. Rays 5.3 against Matt Harvey, and down to the Giants, one of my favorite stacks tonight at 5.2. So there's a lot going on. The biggest favorite tonight, Yankees minus 282. That's with Garrett Cole. We'll get into that in a second. And pretty close to them is the Rays at minus 251. And then even the Dodgers, we're not sure about their pitching yet, minus 246. So there's a lot of big favorites. Giants minus 214 with Gausman against the Mets traveling. So there's a lot going on in Vegas, but pretty much going up against Coors and a couple of these other big teams and big offenses.
Yeah, man. I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Obviously, we got some high implied run totals. So it's kind of a weird, I guess, night, because I really do think that we're going to get some spread out ownership. The slate's big enough. The pitching disparity is there's more than a couple of good top end pitchers. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's a one standout value chalk play that people are just going to gravitate to. So that's going to spread ownership around. We should have an opportunity to be able to fit in some bats and talk about some plays that are going to differentiate us against the field. So we're going to jump right in here, Pete. We're going to talk a little bit about pitching first. As always, guys, we're going to kind of zoom through lineups so that way we can give you about 15 to 20 minutes to be able to lock everything in and finish out building your lineups. And that's pretty much our plan to do the same as well. So starting out with pitching, I'll kind of talk about the guys on the top end who are going to, people are going to gravitate towards in regards to ownership, in regards to obviously just their performance overall, and what we can expect from them. So Pete, talking from an ownership standpoint, which is what we focus on in cash games, let's talk about the guy at the top, Garrett Cole. Obviously, he's somebody that I'm going to be targeting tonight. I think most of the DFS community feels like he's a pretty good lock to be in most people's lineup. I don't think it's an absolute lock, but tell me your thoughts on Garrett Cole as the resident New York Yankees fan.
And the thing is, I don't think to me personally, there's one pitcher is a lock. First of all, our cheat sheet for all you premium members has been updated. It was updated like 3 or 4 minutes ago. So if you guys can follow along with the cheat sheet as we talk, and our cheat sheet does show two pitchers over 40%. That's Garrett Cole and Toussaint for Atlanta. Both big favorites. First of all, Cole in cash, I think, yeah, honestly, I think you probably have to run both these guys in cash. Am I saying I'm gonna get? I'm not sure I'm going both of them. I'm worried about Cole. I mean, he hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. He had the COVID. If you watched him, was it the Field of Dreams game he was on? He was talking about how sick he was and how horrible he felt. I just actually was just reading some quotes in the New York Post where he was talking about how he still feels a little crappy, that they're not going to push him. They're not going to go overboard with him. Yeah, they're in a pennant race. Yeah, they need him to pitch as best as he can. But it kind of worries me because you look at that last start, it was a disaster. He have 7 runs against Tampa Bay. But overall, he is the best pitcher on the slate. He just scares me though. Any of these guys have come off COVID, and I don't think it wasn't just a symptom. What do you call it? The word asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic. There you go. I got you, Pete.
But he actually was down with it from everything I read. So, and especially a pitcher, he's gonna need his respiratory going and all that. So he's gonna be the top arm. Cash, you can use him, but in GPPs, I have no problem pivoting to guys like Kevin Gausman, guys like even Wade Miley, Frankie Montas. But I guess in cash, we probably have to roll with Cole and Tuki Toussaint. I've always been a Toussaint guy. He's got all the talent in the world. The problem is, I used him his first game this year. We used him on spring training. He had a really good game that first game, but then he's really struggled after that. His problem is control. And he's going up in a good matchup against Miami, but Miami can scare you. We got beat by Miami. I think it was Friday night. He was an Oakland's pitcher, but they don't walk much, and which is good for Toussaint because he does have control problems. Great talent though. They will strike out. So if you're looking at ownership percentage, the way it's going to go in cash, it probably is the way to go. Probably is Toussaint in Cole, but I'm not 100% comfortable with it.
Yeah, in my my holder lineup, I do not have Toussaint in there, but you bring up a lot of good points here, especially with the fact that we know that we're going to have Coors on the slate. We're going to need some salary, and Tookie kind of provides that for us. I guess from an ownership standpoint, I don't think that you have to jam both these guys in. Honestly, I see Kevin Gausman as a direct pivot off Cole that I feel very comfortable with. The guy's pitched phenomenally this year. I think the biggest thing on Cole that we've always recognized is that the guy can absolutely give up home runs from his time on the Astros, when he was a Pirate, and especially as a Yankee. The guy's going to get hit. LA, the Angels, they don't have a lot of guys outside of Ohtani that are really going to be able to do that. So we know Cole, if he's able to get his normal volume, you're absolutely comfortable playing him, but you bring up some great points with the battling of COVID and him coming back and maybe not being stretched out, maybe them not wanting to, to venture out and pitch him 100 plus pitches. So then we talk about Toussaint, and then we talk about Gausman. I do like Tukey. I played him on his good games. I've been very fortunate on those. But at the same time, I do look at some of these peripheral stats, and I'm looking at some things like, walk percentage and things like that. If his control is there, you're absolutely right. But whatever you always said, man, with Miami, if you're playing GPP and you stack Miami, they can win you some money. So, that's something to kind of look at there. If you're not playing Toussaint, you definitely should play GPP directly against him. Talking a little bit about Kevin Gausman, do you see any red flags there with him?
No, especially where the Mets, they had an extra inning game on Saturday. They played Sunday night baseball last night late, the primetime game in New York, took a red eye to San Francisco which is a primetime game actually on the West Coast time though. So the Mets are tired. They don't exactly have the greatest offense in the world as it is. And Gausman's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. Pitching at home, he's got a 0.9 home run to 9 ratio. He's got a great fly ball rate. He's got a great ERA, 3.14 xFIP at home compared to 3.63 away. So I love Gausman tonight. He's going to be lower owned. To me, he's a definite pivot from Cole, especially in GPPs, definitely. So Gausman, I like Frankie Montas. I just get scared sometimes against the White Sox, but Montas, he had that rough first inning in his last start.
Right.
But after that, he went 5 scoreless. Got his 8th consecutive quality start. But since the All-Star break, he's pitching well though too. 2.61 ERA, 1.00 WHIP, 34.5 strikeout rate. Going up against the White Sox, and the White Sox right now really aren't hitting second half. I mean, they only got 229 batting average, 302 on base against righties, and almost 25% K rate. So Montas he's not as popular as I thought he was going to be, but he's up there also. So, and there's Wade Miley too. So there's so many ways you can go tonight. Especially to me, this is more of a GPP night. I think really, I want to get away from some of these guys like Cole and Toussaint and GPPs and try out guys like Miley and Gausman and.
Right.
Well, you know what? There's also one other name. The Dodgers have not announced their lineup yet, right? And rumors are Andre Jackson is going to be starting tonight. I don't think it's actually
pool, though, is he?
He's in a player. What you got to search his name on DraftKings. He doesn't come up as a starter, so you got to search Andre Jackson and it'll come up. And they've been waiting for this kid, especially since they sent Gray to Washington. He's like the next man up. And he could get the start tonight, and especially if they don't announce it till after lock, he's gonna be really low owned. Then you can run a Cole and Jackson GBP. So Jackson gets your 4 or 5 innings. His last start in the Myers, I think he threw like 88 pitches, I think, or 90 pitches. So he's stretched out too. So this could be a really sneaky play tonight. Is Andre Jackson for the Dodgers, especially if people can't find him on DraftKings either. So it's gonna be really low owned. So that's kind of my sneaky play tonight here for GBPs.
Yeah, and I think that if you're just uncomfortable playing one or more, like say if you're just going to play Gausman, you're worried about Cole, you're worried about COVID, you're worried about the Montas potential blow up or whatever it looks like. Me personally, I won't be playing Wade Miley, which means that you guys should probably load up on him. He's going to have a career night, but I get it that lineup that he's, that Chicago's throwing out there is not good at all. But Miley just to me is hard to trust, especially in the ballpark that he's pitching in. But I love Gausman here. Gausman's probably my favorite. I think that Cole I had as a direct pivot to get some, just some ownership on my starting pitching, but I definitely would be okay going with the Montas here. I do think looking at that, one of the things that kind of stood out to me just in research before we move on is that this season he does have a 26.5 K rate, but his swinging strike rate is 13.9%. That's a 14% swinging strike rate. That means his stuff is really good. And that means that when the White Sox are coming in here, they're averaging about a 70% contact rate. That's not good. That's in the red if you're following along with the diagrams, folks. So from just an analytics standpoint, I think the White Sox, they're very boomer bust. And even if they don't, strike out a ton, they're not going to be making great contact. They're not going to be able to square up the ball here. So Montas should be able to stay out of trouble. He is not a guy that has to rack up double-digit strikeouts. He is good at going into the game, pitching quality starts, and that's where he gets a lot of his value. So any last thoughts on pitching before we move on, Pete?
No, I think it's it. So many ways you can go on GDP tonight, though. But I think we listed our favorites. I like Carlos Stanton a little bit too, for Kansas City. But I'm on the Dodgers pitchers as long as it gets announced that he's going to throw at some point tonight, which I think he will be. But pay attention to that. But nothing's out yet.
Yeah, man. I looked in and in GPP, the only thing I would do is say, you know what, if you really want to just throw a dart out there and you don't want to go with the Dodgers and who exactly, because they are starting late. So you don't want to get stuck with a 4K Jackson and you don't have another in there. I mean, you could always look at, you got the Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. He's trying to turn things around in Baltimore. He's had some recent good starts. Tampa Bay can be very scary, but I mean, if you're looking at him, he had double-digit starts in 3 out of his last 5. His last 2 games, Detroit and of course the Yankees were not great, but I'm just saying he's down there for GPP, and I think we talk a lot of shit about him, and then he comes out and throws some pretty good games. So I would stay away from pretty much everybody. I know Griffin Jacks, like you said, I think you mentioned him. He's getting a little bit of love in the mid tier. Cole Quantrill, son of a major leaguer. He's somebody to kind of, keep on the radar. But yeah, man, I think you hit it head on. I don't see anything in here. So if you're good, we can roll over to catcher.
Yeah, let's hit it. Throwing our cheat sheet up there. There's one name that's actually pops up in the cheat sheet also. 2 names who really jumped out at me before, and I didn't realize how hot he's been, is Austin Nola.
Oh, yeah.
And he's 4-4, so, I mean, it's workable. Batting 5th tonight in Coors against Sensatella. It's hard to tell his ground ball pitcher, but Noah is batting 448 over the last 15 days with 13 hits and 17 ribbies.
Right.
So I think Noah's a great play at 4-4. The kid on the other side, Diaz, pretty much the same price. At 4-2 is in play. Weathers has been horrible as a lefty for San Diego, so I think it's both these guys are in play. I had the Zunino down, but Zunino's not starting tonight. The Rays put out a weird lineup. They went real lefty heavy tonight. There's no boomstick. There's no Zunino. Wander Franco isn't there, so you can probably see a lot of pinch hitting later in that game today too. So with no Zunino, I'm probably maybe leaning to maybe Yan Gomez for Oakland, as long as did he make the starting lineup, and
he's batting
cleanup.
Yeah,
Gomes batting cleanup at 2.8 against Dallas Keuchel, who actually Keuchel's got given up like 2.54 home runs per 9 since the All-Star break.
Yeah,
so
and just from a BVP standpoint too, not to cut you off, but Yan Gomes, 9 of 25 at bats qualified, 1 home run, a couple of doubles, batting 360 with a 560 slugging against Keuchel in his career. Batting in the 4 hole, I think Oakland knows this guy, sees the ball really well. He hits that low pitch. Keuchel generally just pitches a ton of those, sinkers, splitters, whatever you want to call them. He likes to get ground balls, and Gomes sees the ball really well there. But I mean, just really from a catcher standpoint, Pete, I literally have 3 guys that are in my pool. And
I forgot, I got one more too, but go ahead with yours.
Yeah, I would just say, no, you're right. I mean, I want to hear your 4th one, but I mean, I have Diaz, Gomes, or I have Nola. Those are the only guys I'm looking at. I would like to get Diaz there. I think he has a great fly ball percentage. And anytime you get a pitcher going into Coors that is not used to pitching into Coors, and they have an inkling of fly ball tendencies like this kid has here, I think that Weathers can absolutely give up some bombs tonight. That's why this run total is so high. And I mean, yes, I get it. Diaz is batting all the way in the 7 hole, but the guy can hit bombs, and especially whenever he's at home. So who's your 4th guy here for us? If it's who I'm thinking, I would love for you to throw some love for the Astros, Jason Castro. But if not, I'll listen to you.
No, it's Buster, because for some reason I thought Buster played. I thought Buster caught yesterday, but he didn't. Right. And Capper's been adamant about Buster not playing more than 2 straight days. Okay. So, but he didn't play yesterday, so he'll be playing tonight. He's going up against Rich Hill. Now, Rich Hill, with his no COVID rules, I saw Rich Hill on the bench last night during the Sunday Night Baseball. So normally, especially on these West Coast games, Hill would have been out in San Francisco all day, yesterday, today in a hotel, but he traveled with the team today. So Hill's coming in already tired. He's already been beat up. He's a lefty, and Posey is 10 for 20 lifetime, which is pretty decent BVP. Plus, he's totally crushing lefties this year. 460 WOBA, 387 batting average, and Posey's now only 4K. If this wasn't a Coors slate, I'd be 100% on Buster. Right. I do like Noah tonight, though, but I'm definitely going to have some shares of Buster Posey tonight. Like, love this Giants lineup against Hill. The Mets bullpen is tired, so the extra innings on Monday. I think they went through 7 pitchers yesterday, and that game against the Dodgers last night. So this all stacks up for a big game for Buster Posey tonight.
Yeah, I'm loving that. I think, that's it, guys, on catcher. I mean, we want to kind of move on and so we can get to some other positions. But if we're looking on the cheat sheet here, 2 names that stand out, which even before I looked at ownership, these 2 guys are in my lineup, but Connor Joe, first base and outfield eligible. CJ Cron, we talked about Nola a little bit at the catcher position, but man, these guys are sitting at the top of the ownership percentages. Connor Joe, only 2.8K on DK, 2,900 on FanDuel. Leading off for Colorado here, righty versus lefty matchup here. What do you think about Joe and Cron? Are they pretty much locks to you here or what?
Yeah, Joe's going to be the chalk play, and he's got every reason for him to be. I mean, he's got the splits advantage. He's hitting a ball. I just had his stats up. I mean, he's hitting home runs, 320 over the last month. He's going to be obviously a chalk play. You can also pay him in the outfield that price. If you look at my cover boy here at this position, and I love this Frank Schwindel kid for the Cubs. His last, let me see, he had a home run yesterday. So he now has home runs in 3 of his last 4. So he had no MLB experience at all. I think 5 or 6 games before this year. And now he says 3 of his last 4 games home runs. 3 or 4 straight double-digit DK games, 380 or the last week. I think he's in a great spot batting second tonight against Miley. Am I saying he's going to be in my cash? I mean, you're going to have Joe somewhere, especially if it's a bomb or two and with that high ownership. But I want to get Schwindel in somewhere, especially that price. So you could possibly play Schwindel at 2,300 first, maybe put Joe in the outfield if you like Schwindel. He's there. He's there. And then Darren Ruff sitting there too. Even though Darren Ruff has been struggling,
Right.
he's all the way down at 2,500. I mean, he's a lefty killer from way back. And I saw some other stats on Ruff also, though. He's a huge curveball hitter, Darren Ruff.
Yep.
So he's in play at 2,500 against Rich Hill, who we already talked about. These are all these. So you can definitely go cheap tonight at first base. I mean, all these other guys I think are GVP plays like Otani, Matt Olson, great plays though. But I think you got to roll Connor Joe, and then that plays Luke Voigt. I think Luke Voigt at 3-6 is in a really good spot also tonight.
Yeah, Posey, Ruff, I think even Wilmer Flores were the only guys that really came up that popped on that, hitting that curveball. And if you've ever seen Rich Hill pitch, he's literally a 2-pitch pitcher. He throws that fastball, maybe a little bit of cutting action on there. And he usually tries to attack the top of the zone with that. And then he throws that knuckle curve. And it's a pretty big disparagement of, velocity. You're talking about a 16 to 20 mile per hour velocity change sometimes, depending on how on he is. So I think with Rich Hill, he's absolutely in a position to get shelled. But at the same time, you got to, look at Darren Ruff. You talked about him, his price, but he's also slotted to bat in the 4 hole. So I don't know if
that just came out. The lineup just came out too. Ruff's can clean up. Posey third. Longo, who's back, is batting 5th, and Slater's leading off. So Flores, a lefty killer from way back, is down to 7th. He's been struggling this year, but still, he's batting 7th. He's in the lineup.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so that's first base. We want to move on to second. Obviously, looking at the ownership plays at first base, if we're going to carry that same mentality over, we do see that Trey Turner from the Dodgers is leading the ownership. It's so weird seeing his name, and I'm just like, or the Nationals on the slate, and I can't even wrap my baseball mind around that trade that happened. But here we are. We have LA. He's leading off top of the order against a Pittsburgh pitching staff that's been pretty abysmal all year long. You look at a Brendan Rodgers below him, sub 5K, hitting in cores, batting at second in the lineup there. And then, of course, Jorge Polanco kind of rounds you out. From a pricing standpoint, Turner's extremely expensive on FanDuel. He's affordable at 3.9. You got Rodgers right there. We even have Adam Frazier, who I really do like in this Colorado game, also batting in the 2 hole. Where are your thoughts at here at second base, Pete?
I do like Frazier in that 2 hole. I mean, anytime you got a guy batting between Tatis and Machado, at 4-1 in cores is in a great spot. So at that price, I like Frazier. Of course, I mean, Turner, if you had the money, Turner's a great play. Albies is a great play. Albies is totally crushing the ball. I don't like the game environment tonight for Albies, but he's crushing it. So nothing you can. I mean, what's he got? Five home runs of his last 7 games. But Brandon Lau's a good spot tonight too against Harvey, lefty.
Right,
Another name I like is Jorge Polanco, because I think even though Quantrell's been pitching well, if you look at his numbers, there's a lot of luck there too. And Polanco is, I mean, since the All-Star break, great one-off play though. I think Polanco, since the All-Star break, he's got 9 home runs, 19 ribbies. But to me, my play is going to be probably Frazier. If you get to Trey Turner, great. But to me, it's probably Frazier. We're not even mentioning Brendan Rodgers, of course, also he's batting second tonight, but I'm a Frazier guy tonight.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're a BVP guy and you go and look at these Colorado numbers, you're like, holy cow, these kids can hit off of this cat. Like, but I agree. Like Trey Turner, second base, shortstop eligibility here. It's cool now that he's second base eligible. If you have the money, he's your guy, or low if you feel that lefty versus righty matchup. I will say this with Trey Turner, as I always say it, from a cash game standpoint, he could do so much where he doesn't have to hit home runs. He gets on base, he causes havoc. But obviously, you can look there. One good GPP pivot I like, a guy has a really good history, is Whit Merrifield. Whit is not ever really been on great teams. here against my Astros. I've said what I've said about Odorizzi. I've not been impressed on him. He's a couple hundred more than Adam Frazier. If you're looking at a GPP pivot, that's somebody to look at there. But at second base, it's kind of gross, man. Like this would be my one position. If I can't get up there to at least a Frazier, then I'm going to be paying all the way down. Hell, I'll take the Velasquez kid, the switch hitter for the Yanks at the.
Well, yeah, I don't mind that play actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't want to punt in multiple positions or anything like that. But I mean, if you're going to if you can't get at least to Adam Frazier, then you might as well just say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go all the way down. That's just my philosophy here. I agree with Pete on that, but by all means, do what you like to do there. But yeah, man, that's second base in a nutshell. I don't think there's anything that, outside of like, you can say a Jonathan India and GPP talk about that ballpark or whatever it is. So yeah, man. Anything else on second base?
No, we're good.
Awesome, man. All right, third base. We're over here at the hot corner. You got Manny Machado batting in Coors, of course. That high implied Vegas total, 22% on DK, nearing 20% on FanDuel. Also, he kind of ranks at the top of the cheat sheet, head and shoulders above everyone else. You got somebody like an Mlb Dfs below him, Jose Ramirez, Josh Donaldson. But I think it's a very similar situation here. One thing I do want to note. He's batting 2,300 on DK, 2,200 on FanDuel. Matt Duffy leading off for the Cubs here against Miley. What are your thoughts on third base?
I mean, Machado's a chalk, of course, especially on DK. More on FanDuel, I mean, with J-Ram being only 4K on FanDuel, I can see J-Ram catching a little bit ownership with Machado. Machado's a play for cash. He hasn't. It's a perfect spot for him, but he still hasn't he hasn't had the greatest of years.
Yeah.
But still in a great matchup. I like Matt Chapman a lot. I mean, but if Matt Chapman wasn't over 5K, now he's 5'3", I would really like Matt Chapman. He's actually got a 6-15 lifetime BBP.
Yeah.
He's hot. He's got 4 multi-hit games out of his last 8 with 3 home runs, but more of a GPP play. Love Chris Bryant with those splits against Rich Hill. Austin Riley still doesn't get any love or any doesn't get any respect. Meanwhile, the kid's only hitting 338 over his last 20 games, 8 home runs. Just keeps hitting home runs.
Yeah.
And Gino Suarez is gonna get some love today too. He's under 4K against a bad pitcher. We can hit a home run tonight, even though Suarez is having a horrible season. But it's all about Machado in cash. And you can pivot off some of these other guys, GVPs like Riley, Chapman, guys like that, Chris Bryant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do think here that my only issue is like, if I'm like, man, if I play Machado, I'm going to want to play, a Tatis or a Story, a lot of these other pay ups, or we just use the value here and just say, screw it, we're going to play Machado. I think that Machado is good, but I don't think that he's great. I don't think he's worth what his price tag is.
I agree.
He hits a home run. Awesome. But guess what? You go and you get a Matt Duffy or somebody like that, or like talk about Eugenio Suarez. I mean, hell, Matt Chapman to me is probably the best third base play, but then he's batting 6 and he's over 5K. So that's going to make me think, okay, well, nobody's going to play this guy now because of that. If you've just been playing baseball long enough, you're just that way when you're looking at certain things like lineup spots. So I think it's just one of those things that you have to consider, like, hey, Chapman could be probably the best GPP play. Machado, yeah, sure. Cash, if he gets you, 6 to 8 points, but you're paying 6K for him. I mean, that's a lot of salary here. So, I think it's going to be more of a value play spot for me. But yeah, man. Any last thoughts on third base?
No, nope. Let's move right on to shortstop with the big stick, Story and Tatis.
Yeah, man, that's the story, for lack of a better term here. And you still got Trey Turner sitting right there underneath them. Yep. Well, not underneath them, in between them. But yeah, I mean, you have those guys there. You got, you talked about, you have a Brendan Rodgers also there. You have a Jake Cronenworth. I mean, Carlos Correa looks great as a GPP spot here. You could even look at we have the Corey Seager lefty on lefty matchup, but you still have the Dodgers with the 6-run implied total. Man, there's a lot to unpack here, but let's. What are your brief, compact thoughts on shortstop here, Pete?
I don't like the idea that Cronenworth is only shortstop eligible on DK. I love that spot. He's batting cleanup at only 4.4. So if I'm making more than one lineup, I'm gonna have a lineup with Cronenworth in it, just to get him in there in case he hits a bomb against Sensatella. So I mean, of course, Tatis is the play. Look what he did yesterday in his first game back. I mean, Tatis. Story, though, I think is a great pivot against Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers is pitching horrible. I think personally, Story's maybe in a better spot today than Tatis. But with the ownership and cash, you probably got to roll Tatis in case he doesn't, in case he hits 2 or 3 bombs. But Story's right up there. So it's going to be between those top guys. I mean, Kyle Farmer, I think, is in a great spot for the Reds, hitting cleanup tonight. Cincinnati in that hitter's ballpark. They got a high implied almost 5.68, but still against this Justin Steele kid for the Cubs. I like Farmer, and that's probably it though. Besides those big guys, besides Story, Tatis, Turner, Cronenworth, I would only go with Farmer, and that's probably it. There isn't much else there.
So I'll put it this way, and this is just the one thing that I looked at, and I'm a big numbers guy when it comes to picking positions. But if you're looking at Sensatella, just him alone as a starting pitcher, no matter how many at-bats Tatis sees against him, if you look at his fastball and his slider, 54% fastballs, 33, almost 34% sliders, he's literally throwing almost 90% of his pitches, 2 pitches against the fastball. Fernando Tatis, against a right-hander, has a 470 WOBA, 435 ISO. Against the slider, he's got a 369 WOBA, a 311 ISO. I mean, this guy sees the ball extremely well. You saw what he did when he came back. If he's healthy, one of the best hitters, if not the best hitters in the game. For me, it's extremely hard. I can justify playing 6.1K for Tatis, but, as opposed to like the Machado argument. But yeah, there's a lot of good spots. It sucks that we can't play him and Cronenworth, but yeah, I think you're going to have some decisions to be made at third base. Any last thoughts on that?
No, I think I'm good. It's pretty well. It's top heavy. You got to play one of those guys, and Cronenworth for a pivot, and GVPs, maybe a little Farmer, and that's it.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, we're going to move on, guys. Like I said, that's going to be a decision spot for you. Shortstop, we hope you to be able to, ask questions. Feel free to tag us as well. You see our handles there below our beautiful faces. Moving on to the outfield position to round it out tonight. Ownership percentages. We talked about Connor Joe, multi-position eligibility. If you like one of those first basemen we talked about earlier, put Connor Joe in the outfield, man. He's going to free up a lot for you tonight. I think he's almost a must play just based off of lineup position. I mean, possibly he could get an absolute 0, but being 2.8K, he's going to do something for your lineup still, which a lot of these players, you can't say the same thing for that. So tell me what you think about outfield. I mean, it's pretty spread out. Ownership wise, I see Michael Brantley's up there, which is nice to see, batting in the 2-hole. Only 3,300 on DK, 3K on FanDuel. You got Austin Slater, one of my personal favorites tonight, Aaron Judge, and then right under him, Yordan Alvarez. I like them both, and then a Nicky Castellanos there right below them. But I mean, ownership's pretty spread out on outfield. Pete, help me dig through here. Who are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I kind of like it though, which is going to be good. So it's not going to make us so chalky because we do have a lot of chalky other positions. I don't think you got to pay up tonight. If you're going to pay up, I do like Aaron Judge. I think he's locked in right now. The last 10 games, 4 home runs. I'm not going to use any cash though, because of price, but he's a good play. These mid-price guys, probably where I'm going to live tonight. I love AJ Pollock as long as he starts. Career lefty smasher. He continues to smash this season, 403 WOBA, 330 batting average. Great spot. Joey Gallo is getting a lot of love tonight. To me, he's more of a GPP play, but he's in there. Nicky Castellanos should not be under 5K against the lefty. So he's going to get some love. My favorite probably getting up being is probably now with Manuel Margot is now batting third tonight or second. He's batting on a 3-hole tonight in Tampa against Matt Harvey. So I like Margot at that price. I like Aquino for the Reds with Winker out. What's Aquino batting 5th tonight? I think Aquino's in a great spot for a home run tonight. Batting 6th.
Suarez is up to 5th, so that's reassuring. So
yeah, and this always seems to tape a game when Suarez is going to hit a home run against Kelly Steele. He's not going to be high owned, so I could see like a back-to-back on Suarez Aquino tonight. Of course, you got the Padres and you got Blackman. I do like you can use Darren Ruff. You can use Ruff out here in the outfield. I like Gregory Polanco. I always love Polanco on nights like tonight for Pittsburgh. Gonna be a little owned, and that's probably it. Miles Straw, Austin Slater's gonna catch a lot of love. That now that he's leading off tonight against the lefty with Hill. Anytime Slate is against a lefty leading off, he's a popular play. So many ways you can go tonight, but I do like AJ Pollock. I'm not sure he's gonna be in my main lineup, but he's gonna be in there somewhere.
Yeah, and I think Castellanos, he got ejected in the first inning, his last time out. So
yeah, he did yesterday.
Anytime that happens, and now he's hitting in the best hitting environment, or at least the second best hitting environment on the slate. That he's somebody to look at here, because obviously, he's going to want to, do good by his team here. The Reds are, they still want to win something. But yeah, man.
Brett Phillips is only 2K. Brett Phillips now tonight, he's only 2K batting 7th. So he's in a good spot against Harvey.
Yeah, you mentioned when you were talking about Margot, and you mentioned that in the chat, I was looking at how bad Harvey is against right-handers, and him batting in that 3-hole. He's got some speed too. He puts the bat on the ball. I really like that play a lot. I'm not saying it's a must play. I think Connor Joe is your must play if you have something else at first base, and then you got him. He needs to be in your outfield, but I think it's an amazing play here. I know Justin Upton has some really good history against Garrett Cole. I know he's down there at like 2-2. If you watch the Upton brothers, that obviously Justin's got a ton of talent. He's got some pop as well. Of course, you can go and you can dig down and you can look at, value plays. I'm sure, righty, lefty, lefty, righty matchups here. If you had to go, and just to round this out before we get off, best GPP spot, if you're looking at a stack, give me a couple of teams that you really like tonight.
Definitely the Giants, which you already brought up against Rich Hill. A tired Mets team, a tired Mets bullpen. Of course, the Coors game. And I wrote up my article. I wrote up the Rays, though, but said the Rays, totally changed their lineup. It's a lefty-heavy lineup. The only thing you got to be worried about is pinch hitting. With these guys, with Wendell and Bruce Shaw and all these guys. So they only see 3 or 4 at bats, but I still like the Rays in GPPs only. This Franco still might end up coming in the game. Nelly Cruz may come up, in the game. Lola Meadows should be safe. Troy probably safe, but I still like the Rays though. I like the Rays against Harvey. Harvey's actually been doing well. His spin rates are much better now, but obviously negative regression's got to be coming too. So Giants, Coors, and Rays.
All right. No surprise here. Obviously, I like the Astros tonight in a GPP spot.
They're gonna be sneaky. Yeah, they're stack.
They're being overlooked. I think that if you look at Hernandez, he's not a great pitcher. That bullpen's pretty bad. You get the Astros out there, they can easily bat around on you, especially because, they don't even have all their big sticks in. You got Bregman not out there, but anytime you have Altuve, Brantley, Correa, Alvarez leading off that order, Diaz is sneaky power. McCormick's been hot. Gurriel's been okay. Castro, Myers are at the bottom. So I think that you can definitely look at a lot of spots. I agree with you. The Giants are absolutely going to be someone that you can look at and you can be like, what, these cats, they can actually put them up on there. But yeah, man, I think that pretty much rounds us out. I think we've kind of looked at some different spots. I think that for GPP, you have some different places to go. So by all means, if you have any questions, be sure to send them in the chat, and we're happy to help. Of course, you have Pete and my Twitter handle down there. And then I think we have the same handle in our free Discord. So be sure to check out yourfielderschoice.com, and you'll be able to get the link to our free Discord to ask all of your questions in our general chat. And of course, if you get that $25 for the first 2 months of your premium, that gives you all sports all the time, all your articles, premium access in your Discord channels. And of course, as always, Pete, like I said, we're here to win some money, man. We're going to bounce back for you tonight. Any last thoughts before we go?
Nah, I think it's good. It's gonna be a fun night tonight though, because it's spread out, especially the outfield. It's a matter of getting this pitching right. Do you go with Toussaint or do you go somewhere else? Gotta figure it out. So, but yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Moffa, our producer too. I always forget to thank you, John.
Yeah, John. I was gonna say, and before we leave off, you did have real quick Kevin Gausman over 36 as your prize picks play. MLB.
Oh shit. I forgot about price picks.
Yeah, you're okay. You have Brendan Rodgers over 1.5 hits and walks for MLB as well. Those are 2 that you really like tonight. I think whenever we're digging in here, we've kind of given you some good spots. My only recommendation on prize picks, guys, if you are just now starting to jump in and playing it, especially for MLB, your power hitters, target your total bases, and then of course your RBI props. If you have batters that are going to have good walk rates, good hit rates, obviously you have different options for them. The fantasy points is not the only way to go. Prize Picks has a lot of options. Be sure to use code YFC for signing up. And guys, yeah, that's it for us tonight here at YFC. You see our sign up code there on the left side of your screen. My name is Adam at YFC V12, and you get Pete Cole at YFC Pete Cole. Appreciate you, Pete. Good luck tonight, guys, and let's win some money.
Thanks, guys.